to the Town of Goffstown Select Board meeting for January 27th, 2026. Please join me in Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First up is the correction, acceptance and correction of minutes from 1/12/26 public.
I make a motion that we accept the January 12th, 26 public minutes with corrections if need be.
Second.
Motion by Mark, seconded by Jim. Any questions, problems? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining, motion carries.
And I make a motion to do the January 20th, 26 public and non-public minutes with corrections if need be.
Second.
Motion by Mark, seconded by Jim. Everybody all set? Seeing none problems, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining, motion carries. Have announcements tonight? A reminder to residents interested in running to serve as an elected town or school official, district official, the candidacy filing period is currently open. Candidacy filing received at the town clerk's office during regular town hall business hours, Monday through Friday, 8 to 4, will be marked as the date received. All candidacy filings delivered after regular business hours electronically by mail, courier, or Dropbox will be receipt dated as the next regular business day when physically received by the town clerk's office. Candidate filing on the last day, Friday, January 30th, 2026, must appear in person per RSA 669:13. Town clerk's office will remain open from 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. only on the last filing day to accept declarations of candidacy. For more information, use the electronic tab on the town's website. Anybody got anything else? Is there anybody here for public comment? Seeing none, we'll move on. Fire chief is up.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening, chief.
I know we have two items on the agenda. Which one do you want to
First,
start?
we're talking about the generator project.
The generator project, yes. So the generator project, what we're talking about is currently the town in our emergency operations plan utilizes the middle school as our town evacuation location. That is not ideal. There's a lot of steps in there. There's only one way in, one way out, and a few other things. Don't want to get into too deeply, as well as room. So what we're trying to do is assist the high school in getting a generator, which obviously for continuing operations periods and stuff like that, as well as our emergency shelter location. We're trying to help them get a generator. The school cannot apply for emergency management grants themselves. Only the town can, and that's me for emergency management. So I'm putting together that grant for them. The town has previously applied for this, but has had some troubles. Looks like we're going to at least get it through this time, and we're trying to get it approved, but we need your blessing in order to do that. All, as you can see in my brief to you, there's no money coming from the town operations portion. It's all coming from the SAU for the match. It's a 75-25 match for them. Very involved project, significant amount of work on it, but we got it done.
It's over $500,000 to put a generator in.
So that Pete, you probably can tell me a lot better than I know of, but that school has been add on,
That's true.
and all that type of stuff. So the biggest problem is the electrical infrastructure. So yes, if it was a new building, it would probably cost a third of that. But because of it being a very old building with multiple different type of electrical infrastructures, all of that stuff needs to get replaced, as well as some of the lines coming in.
So the wiring in the school has to get replaced.
Yeah.
So.
As well as the conduit, the holders, all that type of stuff.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, so it's an extremely involved project. If we can get it passed, it's going to be a tremendous opportunity to improve that electrical infrastructure, not only because of the generator, but also for them for a regular daily basis.
So who does the grant get written to? Does that
The
get?
town of Goffstown.
So do they have to move the money from the school to us as part of that? Like, how does that work?
So I believe so it's them. It goes to the SAU. So what we've done, I'm going off of the grant that the town has done before, and that says Town of Goffstown / SAU.
Okay, so it's a
With
joint.
with the SAU being identified as a financial piece to it.
Okay.
Jim?
How did you determine what the total cost of the project is?
Electrical engineer.
Had you already done that and everything?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah, it's I want to say it's like a 43-page report that he put out, and I helped him write that so that we could hit all of the points that the grant needs.
Okay, so that should be an accurate number, okay.
Yes, yes, sir. Yeah.
If we were lucky enough to get the grant, I assume that the project would take place in the summertime with the school being empty?
Obviously, it's going to take a long time with all that infrastructure, so I don't see this. I'd have to look back at the grant project. I do have a timeline that it's multiple months. I don't think they're going to get it completely done in the summer. They'll definitely be in there, but
Yep,
obviously trying to impact the school day as little as absolutely possible.
thank you.
Anybody else?
One more.
Go ahead.
So the generator will facilitate powering the entire school, is that correct?
So we have to be very careful with our terminology.
Yeah.
The generator grant is for the shelter.
Which is the
The gymnasium, basically the first floor. So
Okay.
it's powering basically the first floor, but because of the old infrastructure, it may happen to power a lot
Gotcha.
more to it.
So that would include places like the cafeteria?
Correct.
Everything that's along that path in the 100 wing?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's definitely going to power the first floor. We may get some additional benefit from it, but it is going to definitely be powering the first
What
floor.
about that ramp area that goes up in the shop area? Is that considered part of the first floor as well? or
I
not?
would have to look in deeper into it. I wouldn't be able to pull that
That's
off.
part of the original infrastructure, so
So it should?
I would think so.
Yeah, and
Okay.
you can, it's a gigantic generator.
Yeah.
Because of the power supply needed for the area that it's going to supply.
Is that diesel ran or?
Diesel, yep.
Okay, so basically, would we have to have containment on site as well for like diesel storage, or like how does that work?
So it'll be just like any of our generators, like the one here at the building, is it has a diesel tank, usually underneath it.
Okay.
And then by code requirements, there's a pan in case there's a leak to contain it.
Okay, so would the school be responsible for making sure that that's kept up and maintained moving
Correct.
forward?
Yep.
Okay.
Anybody else? Motion?
Move that we give permission to the fire chief to submit the HMGP generator project grant application on behalf of GHS SAU 19.
Second.
Motion by Jim, seconded by Joshua. Any questions, further comments? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining, motion carries. Next.
So second on my list for the board tonight is looking for some direction in reference to the town's master box system. So I don't know if you've gotten a chance to go through this. Basically, we have 3 circuits in town. We have the Village District, the Bernardville District, and the Grassmere District. The Grassmere District has been a significant problem in the last 3 years with going out of service. Just as a quick reminder, this system was installed in town in 1908. The last documentation I was able to find that a infrastructure piece of it was replaced was 1940s. And from the documentation I was able to pull up, we stopped maintaining the system in 2011. So the system goes out of service on a regular basis. As you can see, the problem is we just don't have a lot of metrics to follow it. I started that last year, so in 2025, one or more circuits were out of service for a total of 36 days. Most outages in 2025 were due to rain events, and the second most cause was due to commercial vehicles catching low-hanging wires. These wires hang low due to degradation of the outer layers and rusting of the tacks used to secure them to utility poles. Goffstown Fire does not have the ability to repair or maintain the system and relies on a utility company to do all our repairs and maintenance. Most fire departments removed master box systems from service in 1980s and 90s. As less departments use the system, less companies work on the systems. Our system components require refurbished parts or us to change to a different style. Our repair company comes out of Massachusetts and cannot provide same-day or weekend response. We also must pay them 2 hours, 1 hour each way, drive time, in order for them to even get here. So you can see the budget impacts, right now, this, in 2025, 15,100, and we were overspent. So this is, you can see the replacement costs, and I am looking to remove it. But obviously, we have some stakeholders involved in this. So if you go back to the first page, you can see the 3 different circuits. As I said, the third circuit there, the Grassmere circuit, has been such a problem that the non-municipal buildings have started coming off of it because of concerns in reference to their insurance, in that it being a completely unreliable system. So we only have the middle school, the Public Works compactor, and Grassmere Town Hall. And so it's every single time we call out, you can see there, it's costing us a few $1,000s. So I'd like to move along, I'd like to remove Grassmere as soon as possible. There's gonna be a small impact there, and then work on a plan to remove 1 and 2 next year. And we'll obviously have to reach out to our stakeholders there that will be affected this, so they can put plans in place as we decommission it.
Sure.
Go ahead.
So, Chief, you want to remove Circuit 3 this year,
Yes, sir.
which would be 78, or 7,840.
Correct.
You're recommending that
That's our estimate.
next year, we remove Circuits 1 and 2?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Why not a more aggressive approach?
Stakeholders. So right now, as you can see, Circuit 1 and 2, I would love to go ahead and decommission it all right now. I think we also, as we provide service, we need to be cognizant of the impacts that this is going to do to those people, as well as the schools, because obviously all the schools are on this, so they have to put plans in place to go to a monitoring company, as well as the other agencies in town, the businesses and churches and stuff like that. So it's just impact to them, but I will move forward with whatever the direction of the board.
I think
Yes.
more in particular, like several of these are town-owned facilities, being
Correct.
schools or our buildings. Why are we not getting off of it ourselves?
So right now, we're not paying anything,
Right.
with the exception of, as you can see in Grassmere, I put that in there. We had a problem with the leg of Circuit 3 that went up to Station 3 up on Terrell Hill Road. And it was gonna, I forget the exact number there, but it was gonna be a few $1,000s to replace that leg. So right now, the only town building that is being privately monitored is Station 3. So right now, there's a 0 cost for monitoring, and we have to increase that cost, which obviously is a budget thing too.
Okay, do we have an idea of what that's gonna be, or we need time to accumulate what that cost is gonna be?
So we do have an estimate based on burglar alarms, because the town already has burglar alarm systems.
Yep.
And we can get estimates for that. But overall, it's gonna be much less than what we're paying out in maintenance costs per year. Because right now, our budget for this, so as soon as we get rid of this, we're gonna be able to take off that $15,000 out of the fire department budget.
So 360 is what we're paying right now? for
Yes,
Station 3.
so it should, probably per building, you're looking at a few $100s.
So, okay, I get that. So we're not paying right now for any of the monitoring on the alarms. Do any of these buildings already have alarm systems on them? They're already being paid for?
I believe the majority do, so it's gonna be a slight increase. But Derek can correct me on that.
I can only
And
speak
prior-
for Town Hall and Grassmere Town Hall. Here we have the burglar alarm, but we also have the fire alarm. So that'd be an added cost that would be shifted over to us. But
Do we have any idea how much that added cost was to add fire?
no, we would have to reach out to the vendor and see, one, if there's any facility improvements that need to be made, or if we're just simply putting in some type of router, phone line or something.
So would it be accurate, Ben, that said this isn't a emergency thing, we can do more research on it before we make that decision?
That would be accurate, and that's what I'd recommend, because the schools obviously are gonna have to do a lot of work here. So they're gonna need some additional information on that. And like I said, for Station 3, it's costing us the $360 for that.
Does our maintenance cost go down if we get rid of 3 this year?
Hopefully, based on, it's tough because I don't know how many times I'm gonna have to call the company out and how many times it's gonna, so for example, the snowstorm Monday, it started throwing troubles at us. Luckily, it resolved and they didn't have to call them up, but we don't know, because we didn't do testing during the snowstorm, whether the system went down or not. If I have to call the company out because a low-hanging wire, I don't know, based on statistics, I can tell you if we take out circuit 3 right now, because we've been servicing that the most, we can save a lot of money there. The difficulty though, Josh, is you can see we have to come up with the money to that $7,800 to remove it this year.
Yeah.
So what I'm trying to do is, without increasing my budget, is if I can use that $7,800, I believe that we pay that $7,800 to get rid of circuit 3, and then I don't pay $10,000 to service circuit 3 this year.
But that's what we were paying last year, basically, is.
Correct.
Well, I think that's a calculated risk, so we don't,
Correct.
but we will have to add an alarm to Grassmere, and I've been in Grassmere, it's like, it's an old building, so what will we be doing there?
So
The boxes are already there. It's
So,
just-
so what this is all it is the monitoring. So the alarm system, like you can look here, the smoke detectors, that type
Yep.
of stuff, that's already in place. The buildings don't have to do that. All it is where that activation is going. So if they have a phone line,
Yep.
it'll go through the phone line. That's gonna be the cheapest. If they don't, then it's a cellular connection.
Okay,
So you may be familiar with that if you guys have security systems at home.
yep,
Like for myself, we don't have a landline, so it's cellular for us. So it all depends which option for which building is which way you go. But for the town overall, including the school, this will be a significant cost savings once it's done.
so does MVMS know that this may be coming?
Yes,
Okay, and the Public Works
yes.
compactor? Okay,
I've talked with Adam and I've talked with the school.
so they're all prepared for this?
They know it's coming, they just don't know when, because I just didn't know when, because we have to bring it in front of the board.
Personally, I'm all for getting rid of 3 if that creates savings, but it would be nice to know about 1 and 2 if we could be a little bit more aggressive about getting some of them off.
Yeah,
I'd like to
and,
have- I'd like to have prices on all
So-
of it. I mean, we're throwing the school under the bus by making a decision. I
right,
know you said that they know about it, but do they know about what the cost is gonna be?
the cost, plan, that type of stuff, and then also, as you can see, to take that off, I mean, we're talking 23,500 and 15,000. I don't have that in my budget to do in this year.
No, I think
So I'm
what,
gonna have to,
I think what Peter's asking is for the other 2 that are not Center Street, the Grassmere Town Hall.
yes,
Do they have their costs associated and it isn't in their budget this year to accept? That's what you're saying, Peter?
Well, no, that's ours. The DPW and Grassmere Town Hall would be the
That's
town
ours,
budget.
yeah.
And then you have Mountain View Middle School. Now, do they have it in their budget?
Right, that's what I'm
And
saying.
I think that's the thing to do first, is to work with, as we have in the past, work with the school to make sure
yep.
but we don't even know what the cost is,
It's gonna be a few $100s.
a few hundred.
Yep,
I think he's just saying, correct me if I'm wrong, Peter, you just want them to make sure that they have that in their plan and they're all
Yeah.
good to go.
that
Exactly.
they can afford it this year.
Yes.
It makes complete sense, yes,
Okay.
yeah. And
And I would like to know what our cost is for the rest of our facilities.
Under circuit 3 or under all
So it'd be
circuits?
the rest of them. If the plan is 1, 2, in the future years. And Josh is saying, why are we waiting? Why don't we just do it?
Yeah.
I'd like to know what,
Well, I think what the fire chief is saying is if you look on page 4, the cost to remove those circuits, circuits 1 and 2, that's another $39,000, which he does not have in his budget.
Right, it's to remove the circuits,
Yes.
but the buildings
Discontinue.
could come off of the circuits.
Sure.
Right?
Yes, oh, okay.
That's what I'm asking, like,
Start moving them off?
yes.
Yeah.
and what would it
So-
cost for us to bring them online on the systems that we have?
Okay, understood.
And
Yeah.
completely understand that. So yes, we can take it off, and no, we do not have to pull the stuff off the lines. technically.
Yeah.
But as Derek's been working on is the utility changeover project. It's going, a significant utility changeover project right now.
Okay.
Is our lines are part of that, that is holding that up. That's why you see a lot of utility lines, utility poles and Eversource poles.
Yeah, yeah.
Like next to each other. We have to pay for ours to get changed over. So do we pay to get changed over? I want to get this done as soon as possible, so we don't have to pay for it to change over and then pay for it
Then
to come up.
discontinue it.
Is there any way for the utility to help us get those poles off?
So, no, there's a statewide project.
Yeah.
The utility, Eversource now owns the poles. They've put in the new one, they've moved over their electrical. What they were doing is just calling out the vendors, when you're available, start moving them over. But there was actually a new state law passed, I think 2 years ago, where they actually hired a vendor to come in and move everybody over, and then they back charge to the tenants per se. In this case, it'd be the fire department.
And our problem again is that we weren't really part of that because we're in such a minority because all the other towns and cities have already gotten rid of their systems.
Okay.
So there's really not a lot more to discuss, except it has to be done. I would like to know what it's gonna cost, Derek, to upgrade our systems for that in
To
our
start monitoring.
buildings. And then we have to let the users know that,
Correct.
hey, we're gonna be discontinuing this.
Yep.
And
So basically tonight, I was kind of thinking two separate steps is permission to move forward with Circuit 3 now, after getting you the prices and stuff like that, so you can actually see it.
I don't have a
And then start,
problem.
and then start communicating with.
I don't have a
the
problem with
Circuit
that
1
as
and 2.
long as we have the understanding with the school. The other two buildings are ours, Public Works and Grassmere Town Hall. I just want to make sure we're not going in and cutting Mountain View and not letting them know.
Correct. Yep, absolutely, that is absolutely a concern.
All right,
Okay.
so we'll make a motion to let him proceed with 3.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve the chief to approach and remove Circuit 3 so long as the Mountain View Middle School and the SAU collectively are prepared and have budget for it to move on it this year. And to come back to us with additional costs, collectively working with Derek on Circuits 1 and 2 to discuss.
So moved.
Motion by Josh, seconded by Mark. Any further discussion, questions? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining, motion carries.
Thanks, chief.
Thank you.
Town Administrators Report.
Yeah, so if you go to page 4, you have a memorandum from DPW. Every year, the select board authorize the DPW director to apply for a household hazardous waste and used oil grant through the New Hampshire Department of Environmental Services. We do plan, and we actually budget for this revenue source, which is about $4,800 annually. But what we're looking for tonight, DPW is looking for authorization to vote on that. And if you see on the bottom of page 6, there is a recommended motion for that to meet the needs of DES for this program.
I will move that we apply for and accept household hazardous waste and used oil collection grant funds and to enter into grant contracts with the New Hampshire Department of Environmental Services, and to further authorize Adam Jacobs, DPW Director, to execute any documents which may be necessary for these grant applications and contracts.
Seconded.
Any discussion, questions? I do have one question. Is it necessary that we have stated a specific person?
If you prefer, DPW director would be fine.
I would think that, just in case, you know.
Yep,
That way.
yep, that's fine.
You okay with that,
I'll
John?
amend the motion,
Okay.
eliminate Adam's actual name.
Any further discussion, questions? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining, motion carries.
At page 9, annually, the police department has an annual report of federal equitable sharing agreement. So the Goffstown Police Department participates in law enforcement efforts with our partners on the federal level. As a partner in these efforts, the town receives a share of any federal forfeiture proceeds. And we need to track when money is spent and when money is received. So what we're asking for is the board to approve the annual equitable sharing agreement and to authorize the chair to sign that agreement and the annual report.
Make that motion to approve the annual equitable sharing agreement between the Goffstown Police Department and the Department of Justice, and to authorize the chair to sign the agreement.
Second.
Motion by Mark, seconded by Jim. Any discussions or questions? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining? Motion carries.
And then the final item I have for you this evening, you have a proposed set of fees from Parks and Rec. Currently, the departments are reviewing their fee schedule and be coming forward with recommendations. But because we had to postpone the public hearing that was scheduled for yesterday for ambulance fees, I saw an opportunity to put the Parks and Rec fees on, which Parks and Rec Commission voted on last week. So the request from Parks and Rec Commission is to hold a public hearing, which would be on February 9th with the ambulance fees, and ask the board to update the Parks and Rec fees, and then other departments will bring forward their fees sometime in February.
So you want to add this on to the
Ambulance.
9th?
Yes.
So you'll have 2 public hearings on
Yes.
fees?
Yes.
Yes.
Derek, do we know if they've compared to like other towns or?
I don't know how Rick came up with them. I can ask for him to provide to the board in preparation and have that answer at the public hearing.
Jim?
I had an emergency, so I didn't go to the meeting, so I can't tell you either.
Okay.
Anything else? You need a motion on that, or just?
Yeah, so a motion to take these proposed fees to public hearing on February 9th would be helpful.
I'll make a motion to take these to public hearing on the 9th of February.
Second.
Motion by Josh, seconded by Jim. Any discussion, questions? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining? Motion carries.
That's all I had. At page 15, you have a copy of the action matrix.
This, obviously does not include the fire.
No, it does not include the F-550 that had the incident yesterday.
Yeah, look at the third line, the second line down on that.
I know, that's why I was like, and so basically we have 2 vehicles out of service right now.
You're right, 3.
3.
Oh, no, 2.
2 of
Right,
that
one
kind.
on the back end, yep. Any questions on that?
No, but it will be interesting. I know that Adam responded to my email. Even if we get that fire truck, the
Plow truck.
the plow truck that was on fire back in service, we're not even going to get that replaced, even if we're lucky, until next season.
Yeah, it wouldn't be in this winter season, correct?
So we're down a vehicle for the entire season.
Down for the plow, and for a plow route too.
Yeah.
So,
It's not gonna snow this winter anyways.
Yeah.
No, we got all the snow.
anything else?
Well, there is one on that, and I don't know if Adam can answer it for us. I mean, do we need to like lease or rent a vehicle? Is that gonna be impactful to the town? Like if we end up getting to a point where we can't plow a route?
I can definitely bring that question to him and see if the board needs to take some out of the ordinary measures, absolutely.
I would think instead of probably leasing, is probably hiring out a route.
Well, that's what I'm asking. Do we need something like that in place? Because if we keep having some of these snowstorms this year, like, I think the town is gonna be probably quite frustrated. And I know that the team, from the responses that we got, I mean, some of them were working almost 30 hours the other day. I don't think we need to add more stress to the system.
It's just gonna run behind, it's just not gonna be as fast, that's all, I mean.
Well, I mean, I think I've
I
already seen
understand.
people complaining, and I
No,
don't,
but that's, we're complaining, they wouldn't be happy, I don't think.
Yeah. Okay.
Anything else, Derek?
No, we have non-publics.
Correct. I do have 2 items for non-public.
Motion, Mark?
Yep. Motion to go in non-public, RSA 91A:32, for A, employee compensation, and E, legal.
Second.
Motion by Mark, second by Josh, roll call.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
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 And that'll conclude tonight's public portion of the January 27th, 2026 Select Board meeting. We'll now be going into non-public.